one thing that seems to be a thing at the moment. American Hodl brought it up yesterday. He said a standing army destroys itself. And it feels like there hasn't been a huge amount to talk about, argue about, debate about recently. And I'm just like, my observation at the moment is that there's a lot of people who don't really know what to do at the moment with Bitcoin, what to say, what to talk about. And I think because of that, we've had this big influx of new people coming into Bitcoin with new ideas, whether it's macro people, governance people, philosophers, energy people.
Yeah.
And that's shifted the entire discussion regarding Bitcoin. Anything which is like about toxic maximalism just it seems almost like juvenile and irrelevant right now. And people are like hungry for bigger discussions about tangential subjects related to Bitcoin. Is that kind of something you've noticed?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a good thing. We want to have as many Bitcoiners as possible. And as much as I think the earlier crowd would like to just talk about Bitcoin forever and ever and ever and how amazing it's going to be, for it to be successful, it needs to kind of just disappear into the background and become our base money and just how our economy works, right? And to do that, we have to bring more and more people in. So as more and more people come in, we're going to have these new ideas, right? You see the generations that have come into Bitcoin. It was cyberpunks and libertarians. And then I'm not quite sure what it was after that. And then we have this toxic maximalism that was forward of the COVID Fed-driven culture. And then now it seems like ordinals might be pushing some non-Bitcoiners to come in. And that's fine. The thing that makes a Bitcoiner is not anything with culture. It has to do with liking Bitcoin, having Bitcoin.
Using Bitcoin.
Using Bitcoin.
You make me think of that term when people say you're not a proper Bitcoiner. And I always fucking hate that. I'm always like, well, what do you want about? What's a proper Bitcoiner?
Yeah.
What's inscribed in the protocol that says this is how you must be a Bitcoiner?
Yeah. I mean, I feel very strongly that I just don't want to fucking talk about Bitcoin forever. If in a decade I'm talking about Bitcoin on a podcast that isn't the biggest podcast in the world, I'm not interested in it. I want it to disappear into the background. No one runs around saying, "Oh, I'm a US dollar-y or a dollar maxi." That's fucking weird.
Well, Schiff is a gold guy.
I mean, gold bugs should be on the same page as Bitcoiners. And I've known my fair share of gold bugs because my parents own a restaurant in the country in North Carolina. And, they'll be, I remember when a burger was a nickel.
I mean, we have, God, people have heard this so many times on the podcast, we've bored of it, but we have this ongoing debate. So when is this not called what Bitcoin did?
Yeah.
Not just like an ego thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I do have that desire to have conversations that are outside of Bitcoin. We do it a lot. We just did, was it 8 shows in a row? 6 shows?
Yeah, it was 2 weeks shows, so 6 shows, yeah.
So what we do is every now and again we make shows which aren't about Bitcoin, but like subjects that are tangential to Bitcoin, right? And they finally get away with it. I decided, Danny wasn't sure. I said, let's release all 6 of those shows we've made, which aren't Bitcoin shows, all in a row and see what happens. And look, the downloads dropped 15 to 20%.
Yeah.
But I think we went through our best period in terms of people writing to us to saying, I am loving the content at the moment. So we lost the Bitcoin only people, but we created more loyal listeners in terms of the content.
Yeah.
And so there will become a time where this isn't what Bitcoin did. It's just, a McCormack show or something else, Incent, whatever it is. It will still be a Bitcoin show, but it won't be a Bitcoin show. It is all the subjects that Bitcoiners care about.
Yeah.
Energy, philosophy, money, macro.
It's topics people care about. People are Bitcoiners. All people should be Bitcoiners. Everyone should be a Bitcoiner.
People are Bitcoiners too.
Right. People are Bitcoiners too. Exactly. That's actually probably a funny way to say that. But it's as if you were a preacher and you're standing in the pulpit and you said, God is amazing, Jesus is amazing. And then you've kind of said, okay, Jesus said we should be good people. So you didn't talk about Jesus and God and stuff, but you're talking about all the good things he did, right? Yeah. And there are tangential things with Bitcoin. There are plenty of things out there to talk about that isn't just Bitcoin, right? Bitcoin is not supposed to change. We're not supposed to talk about it all the time. It's supposed to be there. TikTok, next block, right?
But it's supposed to change everything around us.
Kind of.
Well, the incentive, so everything that money touches, which has poor incentives, it hopefully contributes to things improving. But also the positive externality of considering your time preference should mean that you consider other things such as health, wellness, and such and such. Now, you could be doing all that as a non-Bitcoiner.
Yeah. And
as somebody who's new to Bitcoin, you might think about that stuff. Not to say Bitcoin fixes everything.
I would argue it doesn't.
It doesn't fix
It
everything.
doesn't like really fix anything except maybe money.
I mean, Bitcoin doesn't stop Tottenham being shit.
Yeah. What did Sir Alex Ferguson say? Boys, it's Spurs.
3-point lane.
Yeah. It's I actually hadn't heard that one. I like that one.
That's the one I have with my buddies because so many of my friends support Tottenham. That's why I hate them. Because my problem with Tottenham fans is they still think Tottenham are a big club.
Yeah.
And it's really frustrating because they're clearly not. They're a mid-table club. Your big clubs are your Man U, Man City, Arsenal, Chelsea, Liverpool.
Yeah.
And then you've got your next level, which is Tottenham, Newcastle, Leicester, Villa. They're one of those. Now they think they're top tier. They act like they're top tier.
But they're
but they're not. I mean, they're just. Yeah. I mean, at least Leicester win trophies.
Yeah.
Well, FA Cup and a league.
Yeah.
When did Tottenham last win a trophy?
I'll have a look.
Was it before Bitcoin was invented? Was it before?
Was it?
Yeah. I think it was like 1990. The one that
So Bitcoin doesn't fix Tottenham.
No, it can't fix Tottenham. Nothing fixes Tottenham.
2008.
2008. Yeah, before Bitcoin.
So do you think Satoshi was a Tottenham fan?
He should have inscribed that into the Genesis block. So it doesn't fix everything. So is that you as an outsider coming in? Is that something you find particularly frustrating?
Yeah. And I'm a pretty hyperbolic person, just in general. But if, say I'm a regular person, just a normal person, most people have heard of Bitcoin before, right? And the only thing I know about Bitcoin is that it exists. And you come up to me and you look me dead in the eye and you say, Bitcoin is going to fix healthcare. It's going to solve the mental health crisis. It's going to fix our food supply chain. It's going to end wars. It's going to get rid of all the lead in the air. I'm going to look at you and I'm going to roll my eyes so fucking hard that I sprain my eye sockets, It's absolutely ridiculous. And then why would I take anything you say after that at all seriously?
All right, give me one. Let me have a go at rationalizing.
I mean, what did I say? Mental health crisis? Like, I don't think money fixes the mental health, whatever the mental health crisis might be.
Okay, so
I'm not a psychologist. But
let's say, well, why is there a mental health crisis? I think there's a combination of things. It's social media, child pressure, life pressure. I can make an argument that a lot of this has come down to parents not spending enough time with their children because they're getting squeezed. What used to be one salary used to pay for a house, a car, and a holiday. 2 salaries now can't even pay for all that.
Yeah.
The pressure on parents is to work harder. They're leaving their kids to own devices. The family unit's been broken by the breaking of the financial system. By improving the financial system, changing the incentives, you would have more time for families to be with their children to dedicate to raising them in the right way so they face less of these mental health issues.
Sure. I mean, but you don't lead with, we're going to solve it. It's Bitcoin has a marketing problem, I guess, is the way you could say it.
Where did that come up before? That's Neil Berkeley, the guy I make films with.
Okay.
He thinks Bitcoin has a marketing problem.
Yeah.
I agree.
Besides that, the grandiose claims, these hyperbolic statements, you also have really crappy UX. I mean, a lot of the really, really good wallets have terrible UX. The best way to use Bitcoin wallets is to have a non-custodial wallet, right? And if you want to use Lightning, a non-custodial Lightning wallet, which means you have to have your own Lightning node, which you connect to over Tor. And maybe it's a little finicky. That's a pain in the ass. It's better to use Wallet of Satoshi or something where it's very, very simple to send Bitcoin.
Yeah, dude, listen, when we were at Pacific Bitcoin, we had a little store where we were selling Rail Bedford merchandise and stuff. And people want to pay in Bitcoin. One guy actually had his non-custodial Lightning wallet connected to his Lightning node. It took forever.
Yeah.
It failed. It didn't connect, failed. But I have sympathy. I'm like, well, we're trying to build a decentralized technology that is state resistant. These things improve. You look at Bitcoin back when it was command line interface, and then we had wallets, and now we have improving wallets. And so I'm like sympathetic to it.
Yeah.
But I also sympathetic to your point of view.
Yeah. And to be clear, I love Bitcoin. But some people do not think that I do. Some of the sort of gatekeepers and the laser eye contingency, they don't think I'm all in because I'm critical of it. Something I love very deeply, and I'm critical of it.
I've been through that, man. Yeah, I've been through that. I've been critical UX. Same. I said I didn't run a node very late on for a time when I should have been. My rule on this, tell you my rule.
Okay.
I think I talked about this, Rob, before the previous interview. I said my rule on this is if I don't think my friends. Oh, let me back up a second.
Sure.
I started this podcast to help people like me understand Bitcoin. But I make the show based on what I think the audience will do and will care about. So whereas a Bitcoiner thinks I should run a node,
Yeah.
I go, do I think my dad, brother, friends will run a node? No, they won't. So I won't. And the reason I do that is because hopefully then you'll end up getting a version of a node you don't even have to think about. It's like part of a router or something. It's part of a wallet. You forget about it. Xpubs really pissed off a bunch of people. But not. I don't know what an Xpub is, and I don't care. Mm-hmm. But you should care.
Yeah.
And this is what. No, I don't care. And that's why, because I think if you got a random selection of people from Coinbase, random 1,000 customers, and you ask them what's an Xpub,
Yeah.
out of those 1,000, I'd be surprised if you had 5 who knew what it was.
And then could they even answer why it matters?
Yeah, and that's the point. It's like, yeah, and someone like a Matt Odell might rightly argue, well, if you want sovereign money, you have to take responsibility for this and you should learn it.
Yeah.
But if your background is UX and design and strategy, you understand how people operate, how people think, and you know they don't give a fuck.
Yeah. I want to steal a tweet from a CoinDesker who I respect. You've had him on, David Morris.
Oh, I love David.
Morris. Yeah, he's very smart.
How's his book coming along?
It's coming along, it seems. I'm going to talk to him later today.
Say hello from us.
I will. But he said, and this is, I'm going to sound like I'm mixing metaphors and kind of playing on both sides, but he said that people are mid, just in general. So people are mid, but also like people are amazing. You know, we have opposable thumbs. It's fucking awesome, right?
Yeah.
People are very smart, but they don't want to have to deal with all this bullshit. And I mean bullshit when I say it, right? People are mid, but we believe in the people. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I totally get it. I get it. Like I think you and I are probably on a very similar page with all of this. And also, you're a journalist. You can make an argument past
Bloody mudbreaker.
You can make an argument past what I do as journalism. And so you have to be you kind of have to be objective sometimes, as best as you can be from a personal perspective, and try and say, but what if?
Yeah. Like I can yell about Bitcoin's privacy issue. You're talking about Matt Odell. He's the guy to talk to about privacy, maybe Lop as well. But privacy is hard on Bitcoin. And I don't know how to make it easy. I'm a writer. I'm a think boy. I don't have anything to go forward with, but privacy is hard on Bitcoin. And it feels like it shouldn't be.
Well, I think there's a distinct difference between being a journalist and being a cheerleader. Your job when you go to work every day isn't to cheerlead Bitcoin, it's to be a journalist.
Sure. But I can cheerlead in my personal time, I guess.
Yeah.
Approaching things and being critical of it, like you're saying, is not me saying it's bad. But if I can, we're talking about mental health. If I can say that Bitcoin doesn't solve that doesn't mean I don't think it could if we fix the money. And then there's, two-parent households and things like that.